infielder as a bop.
That is exactly what I would do with the Stanley Cup.
And I was pumped to come on this first episode of another sports show and start my campaign for MV3.
If that is happening, that means some crazy, amazing stuff has gone down in my life that I am at peak existence.
Recording from New York and Los Angeles, your hosts, Nicole Katz and Briana Klein, are emerging from the tunnel for this week's show. Another sports show is ready to broadcast to you on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Before we kick off, please leave us a podcast review and YouTube comment. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. Today on another sports show.
We're going to start with, did the Mets replace the Phillies with the best vibes in baseball? Gosh, I thought. And can the Phillies keep their division lead with Harper, Schwarber, and pretty much 50% of their offense currently injured? Then we're going to roll into the first edition of Nicole's MLB predictions, where I'm going to give Nicole little to no information because she really doesn't know that much about baseball. I'm going to make her pick series to see, to honestly spark her interest in more baseball watching, more baseball consuming. Then we're going to turn our attention to the NFL because there was a huge Sunday NFL ticket settlement that is worth discussing. The NHL had an absolute crazy week. Since we last talked, there was the Stanley Cup final. Then they rolled right into the buyout period. Then we had the NHL Draft. And free agency is about to open. So we are both going to recap our favorite team's draft. We're going to talk about how awesome the Spear was because, unfortunately, it's cool. I want to say it's not, but it's cool and we love it. Then we're going to wrap the show up today taking a look at the F1 circus because silly season is really coming to a crescendo. So we want to talk about where Carlos Sainz is going to land and those last few seats and how they're going to shake out. And last but not least, make sure to stay tuned for the very end for the final buzzer. And take it away, voiceover man.
It's another sports show, but it's not.
The vibes are immaculate amongst the Mets and me.
I hate it. It's
incredible.
I hate it.
This also is just coinciding at for me, the perfect week for the Phillies and the worst week for you for this to be happening. But wow. I love Jose Iglesias becoming basically the Hannah Montana of sports right now. Everyone's celebrating and vibing and just
Did you see that his song is ranking #1 on the Latin charts on iTunes?
Yes, it is. Let's go. OMG, #1 on the Latin charts. It's, again, this is a Hannah Montana. This is a Troy Bolton moment. The Mets are High School Musical. And a month ago, everyone was miserable and sad. And now it's like everything's a party and Grimace is a god. So I don't know what delusion or what deal someone made somewhere, but it's a different kind of energy.
Game during the Subway series when there was the rain delay and people were essentially worshiping to a beer chugging Grimace. I was so annoyed as a Phillies fan, but mostly because I was like, this looks like fun, and I hate that I'm angry about fun because the Mets, but
but totally being this is the chaos of sports of just wow, this is unity, this is a community, this is what brings people together. Yeah, the giant Grimace chugging beer will go down in Mets Hall of Fame, Internet Hall of Fame in general. So right now it's pretty good being a Mets fan. Who knows how long it'll last, but the shenanigan vibes are high, and I hope that continues. Really putting me in a good mood place. Not sorry.
No, you're not sorry. I don't know why you're even pretending.
No, well, I guess it's fully sorry, not sorry. There was no pause or hesitation.
Right. Trying to be objective for a minute. Again, hate the Mets. But I would be so unbelievably annoyed at the people running the Mets right now because the lineup isn't awful. You have good hitters. The pitching kind of sucks. And the fact that the Mets have already made it clear going into the season that they're going to do absolutely nothing to bolster this team that's currently sitting at 500 and competing for a wild card spot, I would be the angriest fan.
Yeah, it's kind of looking. It's not. It's grasping at straws. Is kind of what it feels like, of looking for some type of hope and happiness, because it definitely doesn't seem like it's happening logistically. I mean, we were just discussing the worshiping of a giant purple beer chugging monster in the rain. If only it was
Sponsored by McDonald's.
Sponsored by McDonald's, which very much represents kind of like the chaotic, no nonsense energy on field. Like, it's like nothing makes sense fully.
Yeah. The team just isn't awful. I mean, the Mets have always struggled with the problem that they're in the division with the Phillies and the Braves. But with the way the wild card works, there's no reason. Like, last year, 3 teams from this division made the postseason. So, like, there's no reason
that it's not, that it couldn't be, unless they give themselves, unless they are their own reason as to why. That's...
Yeah. The Mets are doing that thing that I hate when my teams do, where they don't pick a lane, where it's like they're just deciding to be okay. They're not going to make any extra work to try to make the postseason, but they're not going to be bad enough that you can, like, recoup assets by trading away players.
No.
It's just
it's like they're going to ball mid. Like, it's like, there we go. But Jose Iglesias has a banging song right now, you know? Like,
backup infielder has a bop. And you know what? The Yankees are so good. Like, unbelievably good. And the Empire State Building is paying more attention to the Mets. So I maybe sleep well with that at night. I will say, though, that the Mets are currently a better vibes team than the Phillies, but that is solely because of the injuries we're about to talk about. If Harper and Schwarber were not injured for the next couple weeks, the Phillies have better vibes because they're winning and fun, and, like, not a 500 team.
Right. Yeah. Look, that things have to go in a balance some ways. It's a pendulum swing that we're going through.
No. We pendulum towards a Phillies World Series. There's no balance here. It wasn't luck. It wasn't
genius.
fate. It was Grimace.
It was Grimace.
That is some of the best copywriting I have read.
Wasn't luck,
in years.
It wasn't fate. It was Grimace. And it is Grimace. And I love that it's still hanging around. Like, it wasn't like this all disappeared. It's just still going.
I felt like it did. I felt like there was this, like, Grimace moment, and then that rain game happened with all the Grimace.
And for some reason, it just
it was like a resurgence, and then the Empire State Building happened. It was like, oh, okay, we're not done with this.
We're still here. It's like, oh, the Empire State Building just had this photo op scheduled, and they're like, well, I guess we'll do it anyway.
And then it just coincided perfect. Like, it was one of those, like, invisible string moments in life.
Yes, it was.
I would call my state of being right now a medium spiral. I wouldn't call myself in full spiral, like the world is ending panic mode, but I am not happy. And I'm mostly not happy as a human who watches every single Phillies game of baseball. And having to watch this Phillies team without JT, who was already out until post All-Star break, and now Bryce Harper having a mild hamstring issue, and Schwarber having a mild groin strain, and I'm going to keep harping on mild so I don't panic. And that being the vast majority of, all the offense, gosh, it's painful to watch. This weekend, okay, having to watch Aaron Nola pitch a fantastic game for Aaron Nola, and, like, it to be rewarded with only 2 Phillies runs against the Marlins, who have some of the worst pitching in all of baseball. Like, it's just, they're gonna come back. They're gonna be fine. We have such, they still have the best record in all of baseball. Like, we gave ourselves a buffer.
Talking to you just Friday morning was like, all okay? And you're like, not ready to talk about it. We're not talking about anything. and then proceeded. We're like, oh no, we're just gonna now talk about it. It was
and then I sent you 5 minutes of voice notes.
It just needed to. It was like, I'm gonna poke and see what happens, and it was like, we're not gonna talk about it. And then it was like, okay, but if I was gonna talk about it, here is all of the things that I feel exactly right now. And it was, yeah, tense, some tense energy happening.
And I was pumped to come on this first episode of another sports show and start my campaign for MV3, which is Bryce Harper's 3rd MVP season. I was ready. It was gonna happen, and I can't do that until he comes back from this injury. And it's supposed to just be like maybe 2 weeks. They might hold him out until the All-Star break because might as well, and then he'll come back afterwards. But I'm also, as a Phillies fan, I have seen Bryce Harper win an MVP as a Philly, but I've never seen him in an All-Star game.
Really?
Right. Injuries, just like injuries, like reasons that have kept him out. He is the number 1 vote getter in the NL. I was so excited. And that's not even starting to talk about how this interrupted the end of June with Schwarber. This is a fun fact that people probably don't know. Schwarber, incredible player all the time, has the most unreasonable splits in June. He is like a god in June every year for no reason. Like, you even ask him about it. He's like, I don't know. It just happens. I'm sad.
And against the Marlins, just like, it was like almost, it really does feel like adding salt. Yeah, really like pouring salt in the wound here of already a series that not super jazzed about. And then it's like, wow, let's just like end this in the
and we play the Braves next week. Which I guess the actual topic of this segment was supposed to be, can the Phillies keep their division lead with Harper and Schwarber, and we already had JT out injured. I'm like, we play the Braves next week, which means the swing, like if they sweep us, is like right now we have a 7-game lead, which is insane considering the Braves have a record that could put them winning other divisions.
But that buffer, you got to keep your buffer. But I don't know if they face the wrath of Briana, she's gonna come and find you. But yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, this stressly spiral has now been documented as it's been going on all weekend.
I hate that. I know the rational thing is injuries are going to happen. There's 162 games. Injuries are going to happen.
Games. And
we avoided worst case scenario with both of them. They're both mild, couple week injuries, and they should be back and fine. It's the annoying part that it's all coinciding at the same time. So I have to watch a team with Bryson Stott leading off, and I adore that man, but he bats 6th or 7th in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't bat lead off. I need to watch more Whit Merrifield days, and I know that doesn't make sense to you at all. But if anyone is, I heard a collective sigh from every Philadelphia Philly fan who listens to this podcast, who's going, oh, I don't want to watch any more Whit Merrifield days. No more. Okay. I don't want to melt down anymore. This entire weekend felt like I was having a meltdown. And is that over dramatic? Yeah, but I can't wait until next week when we get our soundboard in and I can hit all my sad ones.
Sad sounds.
Yeah, maybe I'll put some in post.
That's sad. You just got so sad.
I'm so sad.
I'll put it in
this
post.
Team is so sad good.
Wah, wah, wah.
Nicole predicts a ball game. Nicole predicts the series. Give her almost no info and stats. We don't care if she doesn't know bat. Let us root for her predictions. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out in our prediction game.
All right, the first series of the week, the Seattle Mariners are going to be facing off against the Baltimore Orioles. They are both leading their divisions because Baltimore overtook the Yankees for first place as we were recording this. By the time you see this, they might have swapped back, but TBD.
Who knows? Well, yeah.
They have the same number of wins at 53, but the Orioles have a slightly better winning percentage right now at 639. The Mariners are quietly in first place of their division. They get very little national attention. And I think part of that is that they're just not one of the stalwarts with a huge winning percentage right now, even though they are winning their division, because they have a 560 winning percentage with 47 wins. So these teams have already matched up. They played in Baltimore, and Baltimore won the series 2-1. Now, Baltimore is this young, up-and-coming, super exciting team. They have a host of good young players that are going to cause everyone headaches for years. Glad that's in the AL, not as the NL as a Phillies fan. Like, have fun with that over there. Now, an interesting split here is the Mariners, winning their division, have a great record. Now, if you split them to home and away, they are mediocre on the road, and at home, they're winning .700 baseball. So, while on the surface, this might look like a sure-in for the Baltimore Orioles to win, because it's home at the Mariners, I think there's a little bit of intrigue here. They're playing 3 games from July 2nd to July 4th. Nicole, who do you have winning the series? I would like you to state the record.
I'm going to go for the hotter take here, and go with the Mariners. I'm leaning into that home field advantage. I believe in the strength of a home field advantage.
Sweep or 2-1?
2-1.
And which game do you think they're going to lose?
Number 2.
All right. So we're going to talk about the second series of the week. This one's taking place July 5th to July 7th, and it's the Phillies up against the Braves. These two teams hate each other. And honestly, the only notes I'm going to give you here is the Braves. This series really could swing the Phillies, who are currently 7 games in the lead. No, I'm not okay. No, I'm not going to give you more information. I hate the Braves. I can't believe the injuries came before this series. I'm upset. There you go. There it is. That's all the information you get.
Braves 2-1.
Which game are they losing?
The first one.
You know, honestly, if the Phillies won 2, I'd be okay. I might just survive until Bryce.
I was literally going to say sweep, but I'm like, I don't even know if that's kinder or not or whatever, but I don't care. I'm picking Braves. Yeah.
And those are the baseball series of the week.
Nicole predicts a ball game. Nicole predicts the series. Give her almost no info and stats. We don't care if she doesn't know bat. Let us root for her predictions. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out in our prediction game.
Oh no, the NFL is going to have to pay money. Oh, good thing they have a lot of it.
Endless supplies.
Endless amounts of it, and basically can just print it. So NFL's been found guilty in an antitrust lawsuit to pay $4.7 billion.
Just a little bit of money.
Just like a little bit of, pocket change. Totally fine. Basically, with their NFL Sunday ticket package, there's seems to have been a conspiracy with DirecTV, and that the NFL had worked with DirecTV they were exclusive partners for NFL Ticket, and then DirecTV was inflating their prices because obviously people want to watch all of their NFL games. Hi, I am people, and we are people, and I'm
an out-of-market Eagles fan. I live in Southern California. My family, we are diehard Eagles fans. I would not be able to watch Eagles games if we didn't have NFL Sunday night. Like, this is a essential purchase for us. So this hit close to home.
Yes. And basically DirecTV saw that opportunity and was like, or whoever decided to do this, and was like, we're going to inflate our prices because people want and need their out-of-market games. So it was kind of sketchy, mean, not nice, but like, hey, money talks, money moves, and that's the business decisions. But was good slap on the wrist of, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not fair.
Yeah, I think so much of this is still in motion. I've also read, and enormous number of articles that all say different things, because the reality is this case isn't fully wrapped up. Like, the NFL can appeal it, mixed with, I believe the understanding is they need to go into like a post-court case scenario where they actually figure out the next steps and what happens here, because this was, NFL Sunday Ticket is no longer with DirecTV. They're with YouTube TV. And sports rights to things being exclusive to platforms is not new. It is what everyone does. Essentially, Business 101, a channel like CBS or Fox, or a distributor like a YouTube TV or a DirecTV, or a Comcast, like whoever it is, can buy the rights to show a certain sports league. They pay that sports league a lot of money to do that, particularly if you're the NFL. So I think the confusing part of this is that no one's clearly stating what was wrong about it, with the exception of they were jacking up the prices too high. Like, I don't think what was wrong was that DirecTV had exclusive rights. It was the amount that was being charged because they had the exclusive rights. And as customers, sports customers in the market, in the inflation world we are currently living in, and I always think that inflation is a silly name. It's like companies just are price gouging a lot of the time. Like,
we want more money. Give us more money.
Right. We can ask you for more money, so we're going to do it.
You can't watch these sports anywhere else, so you have to give us this money. Like, you're locked in, like, hands behind your back, didn't really give people the options. And that's also not to say that, like, you can't be charging the proper value for a service. And, like, look, the pricing on streaming services is astronomical. That's, like, a different conversation. When you're so obviously, like, price gouging to what you said and just, like, taking advantage of consumers that way, just can't do that. It's super bad vibes.
And I don't want to be in charge of what that line is, but I think I'm glad as a customer that there are courts looking at this right now. Like, it's like, great, not my job, but it's someone's job, and they're doing that job by ruling in this way in the court system. So, like, I don't know how, or like, I think the flashy numbers are the potential payouts that customers might get from this. But to me, I like the precedent that it's setting, where maybe in the future, I'm not going to feel like I'm paying an exorbitant amount of fees to every single streaming service to get all of my teams. Like, I think it could have a trickle-down effect of fairer prices across the board. Because if you never had to buy NFL Sunday Ticket, it is super expensive. And it was... I think the really difficult part when it was DirecTV is that DirecTV was never the best option in the area we were in. But if we wanted to watch the Eagles, we needed to go to DirecTV, which is the whole point of this court case. But it was crazy. And even, like, the fee on YouTube TV only makes sense because, like, if you have, like, multiple people pitching in to watch the game, like, it is very, very expensive.
And thinking of, like, how long, like, this deal was in the 90s with DirecTV and lasted for such a long time. So especially if you're thinking about, like, how if people were opting into DirecTV, that's how you then received, like, every bit of all of the rest of, like, your content and different things like that. So it's not just like now today where it's like, okay, you can get, like, YouTube TV or, like, NFL Sunday Ticket, and that can kind of more be like a one area type thing that you can, like, instead of it being like, something that needs to be, like, installed in your house and, like,
and you need the satellite.
Crazy.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it was a really involved choice you had to make. So it's I'm going to be intrigued to see how this plays out. It always will be fascinating and interesting to me when something happens that shows that the NFL is not untouchable. Like, I believe the NFL moves and operates a lot like they're untouchable. And is this just going to be the tiniest little scratch in their armor? Like, of course. But
they'll be fine.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. Nothing. We're not saying they're not, but I think it's interesting that this is happening. It is a big headline for a reason. It is a huge settlement they're going to have to pay. I believe if they want to appeal it, it has to go to the Supreme Court next, which would be... So, the NFL is not untouchable, and I like things that are fan first, and this ruling feels very fan first to me.
Agreed. They're still not getting better at doing that. Like
I think it's better that they're not.
That they're just like, dump!
Yeah. Like, there is no grace to, like, let's have a rainbow of beer out of the Stanley Cup. It's like, you're going to get drenched. And you know what? That's how I would think hockey players would do it. Yeah. Like, there's, I just, like, yeah, dump the... would you let a hockey player dump beer on you? Okay, I was like... Yeah.
Yes.
I was looking at this with my family members yesterday, and they were like, oh, I would never. I'm like, what are you talking about? Dump as much beer as you want on my head. Like, that. I want to interact with the Stanley Cup.
That is like, exactly what I was about to say. That means, if that is happening, that means some crazy, amazing stuff has gone down in my life that I am at peak existence.
Right.
And yes, of course I would. It would be an honor. It would be a pleasure. That my dreams came true if I was getting beer poured on my face from the Stanley Cup.
But implied in what you just said is that would mean...
I didn't say any of it out loud. I just said really good things.
I know. But like, what if really good things happened to me and you were just there with me? So would you still accept the beer from the Stanley Cup? Because... in case, like, I just want to be clear, in case anyone's listening has no idea what we're talking about. It just is like if my team won the Stanley Cup instead of her team winning the Stanley Cup. Which
is the very important piece of the whole thing here is her team is the Flyers and my team is the New York Islanders.
I just wasn't sure if you wanted to say it because you were getting like superstitious about it.
Well, more it was because I just then didn't want to say the words of Islanders winning a Stanley Cup out loud, but now I've said it and now it's there. Okay, so I know. Okay, so I think the answer was because it's pain. I would not be able to like sip it because I can't. My hands can't touch. We can't touch the cup.
Like, a video,
right?
Of like it being dumped. Yeah. So like, let's say theoretically you're at the parade with me, and we had the opportunity to have basically a beer dumped on our head from the Flyers, and they were like, "Hey, would you accept the beer dump?"
Yeah, I would do it. I'd do it, and I don't know if that makes me a bad. No Islanders fan, but yeah. And then I would want to immediately say, let's go Islanders after, but I would not want to get punched in the face. So just internally, I would say it, but.
Oh, this is a ridiculous conversation because neither of our teams have won in our lifetimes and nowhere close to it. If you are just discovering our show, because this is a new show, another sports show, I do want to reference back to the fact that we had a show prior to this about F1 called Gridwalk. And if you watch that, then you know both Nicole and I are avid Las Vegas Sphere lovers, apologists, whatever you want to say. We think it's unreasonably cool. Like, is it stupid? Yes. Do we like stupid? Yeah. So like, we love it. We think it's great. I think we've spent way too much time in our internet lives talking about how much we like the Sphere. And we're going to continue to, because having the NHL Draft in the Sphere was unbelievably cool. The graphics on the screen with the ice and the net and the trade alert graphic was unreal. I wanted to say it was dumb, but it was not dumb. It was so cool.
I say this in a way that I think it's really cool, and it's going to come across really horrible, but it was like the Hunger Game tributes, like every trailer.
Yes. No, see, that was the weirdest part of it. The flashing up of all the faces on the screen was really unsettling. Like the grid, it very much was Hunger Games.
Yeah.
To me, that was not a great use to put all the 17 and 18-year-old faces up on the screen. But they used it in other very cool ways.
It's the perfect like venue for a draft setting. I can totally like this. The Sphere is just going to become like the new venue for all drafts of sports. It just, I mean, obviously it jumps around city to city, but I can see it coming back so constantly in different sports series because what you can do in the inside, on the outside, and then you're in Vegas again. It's genius. It's so fun, and NHL definitely used it to their advantage.
I was worried that it wasn't going to look good on TV just because it's a weird screen and they had to build the screen to look good in person too, because there were nearly 15,000 fans and tickets sold there, as well as like, I mean, they don't need to make it look good for the execs sitting on the floor, but like, you know, so there was an in-person element and a TV element. And I was impressed at how great it looked on TV, despite the fact that it was this massive curved screen.
Yeah, it was it definitely added to the viewing experience for me. And I wouldn't necessarily say that usually like the venue choice adds something to, I mean, it like depends. Sometimes they try to do something like fun and interesting, but like this one, I kind of like really enjoyed seeing, how they utilize the sphere.
Yeah.
But again, we love this sphere.
Yeah. In a draft in general, normally I think the NFL gets it right when they go to a city with an avid fan base and that fan base shows up. And I always am underwhelmed by the NBA draft because it's held inside what feels like a ballroom. And like, I think normally I'm like, the more crazy fan focused you make it, the better a draft is going to be. And this wasn't that. This to me felt like, okay, if you're going to do it inside, and even though there were tons of fans there, they weren't really a part of the broadcast. So to me, this felt like the best like alternate option you could go with if it was like, okay, we're not going to just like have pools of fans outside somewhere because they probably would need to hold this in like Toronto to make it that.
Actually have
New York
people in June.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas fans are great fans. So, but I don't know. I was impressed. I hope they never leave that. Like, I don't know how they, like next year, if they're like, we're not going back, I'd be like, oh no.
You should.
Please. Let's get hyper focused. I want to talk about the Flyers draft. Gosh, Flyers visual, like what I could see, online reaction, like Flyers fans to the Flyers draft was so extreme. It was crazy. We're drafting 17 and 18-year-olds here. Like, I don't know how anyone can have a hot take about anything. And I'm going to proceed to have my hot take, which is the Flyers drafted a guy I think is going to be fine. Like, who knows? But what I do know is that because of this, I've learned that combine testing for the NHL is hysterical. And I don't understand why they don't broadcast this like the NFL
it's not
does.
Shared amongst,
I just love the idea that there's a stat called fatigue index. And I want to know how they figure that out and why is that not on TV. They also measure left-hand grip, right-hand grip, no arm jump, squat jump, vertical jump, percent body fat, peak power output, mean power output, and whatever pro agility right time is.
Pro agility right time.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's seconds. And apparently, Jet Lashenko's was tied for second with 4.23. I'm really saying all of this because none of us know anything. All I know is that the Flyers drafted someone whose name is Jet, and his number one like key scouting trait is that he's fast, and that's incredible. And two, apparently he had the combine performance of like a lifetime. This 17-year-old kid was like by far the top combine performer. So why are we all upset? So this is my thing where I just want everyone to stop being upset and lean into the fact that his name is Jet.
His name is Jet and he's 17.
No, I mean, but in all seriousness, like my actual take is Danny Briere went to the Howie Roseman School of GMing, and we have 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. Actually, I think now it's down to 2 because we traded one. We have 3 first-round picks next year as the Flyers. Like, that sounds fantastic. I love that. They didn't like this draft, and we got a guy named Jet. Like, I love that I now am fans of 2 teams with GMs that I could call them both Howie Roseman. Like, this is, it just, like, that first round was really boring, except for the fact that the Flyers traded twice. Wasn't that fun for everyone? You're welcome.
Yeah, no, your draft for you next year is going to be a time.
My goodness. I mean, in all seriousness, like, I'm being goofy here, but, like, the Flyers timeline, like, it's great that Mitchkov is coming over this year, but they keep saying that the first year that they're, like, really planning towards is 27-ish.
Yeah.
Like Mitchkov was supposed to come over in 26 and then like a year in the system and then 27 is the big push year. So to me, the fact that they're stacking the deck for next year's draft, which would be 2 years before, like that, this all
feels
feels
like
like
for like 27, 28, unless you're getting, like you could be getting at least a pick next year that they're willing to debut
draft
early and then,
yeah, like this is all, as a Flyers fan, it's been a little like, are they actually rebuilding because the team was better than they were supposed to be this year? And if they didn't Like, if they just got slightly better goalie play, then, like, we would be talking about the Flyers in the playoffs instead of the Islanders or Caps. But, like, it's, yes, the team outperformed, but they very much are rebuilding, and this draft shows that. So I don't know why everyone's so upset. Like, this is... His name is Jet.
I guess we have to end on, his name is Jet.
How are you doing over there in Islanders land?
So, Islanders land. Wow. First time got to do anything in the first round in like 5 years. Literally the last time the Islanders had a first round draft pick was before COVID. That's pretty sick.
What a fun fact.
Cole Iserman. He's a baby. He's 17. Literally, if he was born 2 weeks later in his life, he would not be eligible for right now. What we're seeing online, people claims to be like a great scorer. And that's what the Islanders need. But I feel like I've been saying that for a really long time, is someone who's a good scorer. He's like shown some pretty good stats. He's like the number 112 skater in North America. I'm like, cool. Seems like consistency is a problem. When I'm reading that he can be frustrating to watch, I'm like, oh, he's going to fit in fab, which is like not necessarily what I want to be vibing with. I think it's cool. Our second round draft pick, Camille, played with him on USA Hockey, and they were on the same line. So I'm like, awesome. You vibe well together. We've seen good performance from both of you on USA Hockey. Let that continue. But right now, I'm kind of feeling... I don't like the comparisons of like greats of the past, and like that's used as the benchmark of drafting. Like everyone's
they're 17, 18.
100%. But like
they're
my
not gonna be in the
timeline
NHL for 3 years.
Right. Like my timeline was full of comparing how like, well, you know, many years ago we had, you know, there was a kid who was available and he was a really good scorer, but he really lacked defense ability, and that man's name was Mike Bossy, and that went on to be like one of our greatest of all. And I'm like, okay, right, like we just can't put our eggs in that basket and only in that perspective because Mike Bossy was known as a great scorer and wasn't like stellar defense when drafted. So I'm just trying to take peace, and I've seen a bunch of unbelievably angry Rangers fans and like Predators fans about like how, you know, Cole should have gone earlier and maybe this was a steal. And that's what I'm going to hopefully take peace in and just know it's not going to affect any of my emotions in the next 6 months. Or
and
like,
it really shouldn't.
Yeah.
It probably shouldn't affect your emotions for 2 years.
But that would be normal. And I'm not.
Well, yeah, and we're not normal. Yeah. But
no.
So a question for you, because, you know, Flyers rebuilding, draft mattered a lot. This Islanders are technically in win now mode, and by the time everyone's listening to this, free agency will have opened. But at this time, just so everyone knows, it's June 30th. Free agency hasn't opened yet. What are your hopes and dreams, and then what are your actual expectations for a team that should be active because they're in win now mode?
Well, the unfortunate piece of it is that, like, so there's going to be just a lot of making of that, like, cap space. I think there's going to be, I'm going to be getting a lot of really depressing, like, messages of old players that just go bye-bye, and I'm going to just be a little distraught about it. I don't know. I just constantly feel like the Islanders are in rebuilding.
Who do you think they're going to... Wait, hold on. Ignore my question.
What?
You are not a rebuilding team. They are paying good players too much money that you should be going for it. The Islanders are not rebuilding.
They're not paying the right players the right amount of money. Like there's certain
that's
true.
I'm trying to be nice and not talk shit about your team.
I am too real. This is just we're in year 29 of being an Islanders fan. I'm like aware of what's happening. The only time of my life I kind of maybe felt like things could have been different was like 2019 to 2021, and then it all just exploded, and I am just been sad.
Who are they not resigning that you're upset about?
But it's not.
Are you hoping they sign anyone?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not realistic. Like Matt Martin, I've loved forever, but like he does not score. He's a good fighter, and he's old. It's just, and people are like needing Anders Lee to leave, and I also don't want him. I know. Yes. Yeah. That's like a very.
Wait, please give me details. What's the contract nightmare that like I don't understand.
I mean, it's not a contract nightmare. It's more just people.
Then why do people
don't
want him?
necessarily because post his injury, he's not like hustled. God, that was like 2019. It might have been, or 20. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the bubble year. It might have been the bubble year when he was injured. 2020. I'll have to now fact check this and put this in post.
If anyone's not picking up on it, I literally only know things about the Flyers, which means Nicole
right.
needs to
I mean,
educate me
here's the
about everything.
thing: hockey is my place. Baseball we balance each other in so many ways.
I mean, I'm a huge Flyers fan, but I don't know anything. Here's what I know about the Islanders: they should be going for it because of who they have on their team. Why are they not going for it?
There is a strong population that has the viewpoint of like post Anders Lee, like major injury that took him out of like postseason. Like he did not come back as the strong captain that's needing to like rally the team in the right way that he like needs to, and like needing that constant spearhead. I don't necessarily claim to fall into that camp, which then, but you know what? That upsets people. But I don't want to see that go. But there's just some. We've had a lot of guys come in of the promising of being goal scorers, and that's just like not it. And also our entire defense needs to just like wake up. Like there's just that was kind of like and we just can't. So Cole, welcome to have you. Score goals and make me eat my words. If you are the next like Mike Bossy, great. God bless. Happy welcome. Make Rangers fans cry.
I literally can't believe this segment was me going, what are your hopes and dreams for free agency? And you going, like, you were like,
I know.
Maybe if players won't leave.
I just don't. Well, because I just know that there's going to end up being just a lot. Right now, all the Islanders are just in their own bubble in Italy, and it's going to come back, and it's going to be like the leaving of people to create cap space, and who knows what moves will be done, but yeah, I'll give you that lowdown when it all happens. One of the most incredible things in sports is basically the adventure and life that the Stanley Cup lives after it is awarded and won, and basically just goes on like a never-ending field day bender and goes to see so many things that some humans will never see and or experience. And the Panthers,
cup before winning. Handle it carefully with white gloves. The cup after winning. Throw it in the ocean!
Woo! Yeah, the cup goes on like the craziest transformation. Like talk about like a get you a girl that can do both. That's the Stanley Cup. So it was only appropriate that we deliver a podium of my favorite things that the Stanley Cup has gone through, been used for since being awarded to the Florida Panthers last week, besides just being a trophy for an entire sports league. And of course,
a bonus mention because Nicole couldn't pick.
A child drinking apple juice.
Cute.
So just people drink out of the Stanley Cup absolutely all the time, but Evan Rodriguez filled the cup with apple juice, and there's this video of a tiny little boy chugging apple juice out of the Stanley Cup, and if that's not going to be like this kid's fun fact for the rest of his life, then what was the point? So no one has a better story of drinking out of the Stanley Cup than that kid does.
In P3.
Held 2 newborn twins right after the game. That's how you know how big the Stanley Cup is. Big enough to fit 2 sleeping newborn twins at the exact same time.
It was an adorable photo.
Absolutely adorable. Better be
and
the
shout
Christmas
out to
card this
the
year.
Mom for like I gave birth. Let me bring my twins to the final. Like that. Like,
and we're gonna take this picture before it becomes sticky with beer. Let's get the twins in the cup.
I hope this doesn't spoil anything that you're about to say, but one of my favorite things about the when it's won is that first it's awarded, they all skate around with it, then they put all the babies in it, and it's wholesome, and then as soon as it gets back into the locker room, it's like, this thing's gross.
Debauchery time.
Right.
In P2.
Went for a swim in the Atlantic Ocean. the salt water, just nothing could be good for the Stanley Cup in the ocean environment. The sand, but we don't care. We are Florida. We will bring the Stanley Cup into the ocean. Oh gosh, yep, definitely a good idea. Definitely safe.
I have to say that, again, remember, we're recording this Sunday, June 30th. The parade is happening, so we're watching what they're doing with the parade. In a normal year, this feels like it would be an honorable mention. I'm a little disappointed. Now, I'm excited for what's your P1, but I'm disappointed that this was as high as P2.
In P1.
Filled to the brim with pasta and Parmesan cheese.
A deserving P1.
This is what I would do. I would do this, and then I would fill it with ice cream, and then I would fill it with Jameson and ginger ale, and then I would give it to the next person. That is exactly what I would do with the Stanley Cup. It is a giant vessel to take anything and just, oh my God, I can't imagine. I want the biggest pile of penne alla vodka and chicken parm served to me in the Stanley Cup. That's iconic, and just, yeah, everyone will drink out of it, but will you eat pasta out of the Stanley Cup?
All I could think about in the video was that wasn't enough cheese for the amount of pasta in the cup.
Keep going.
And I was like, this is a silly thought to be having right now. And then I also appreciated that eventually they served him a pizza that was the exact same diameter as the cup on top of the cup. Yeah, that could be P1 in any year. Like, fantastic, no notes. And I just got distracted because the Phillies are playing and Bohm just hit a home run. So sorry, editing Briana, because the version of me that has to edit my like half sentence there as I looked over here to watch that home run, I'm so sorry, but go Phils.
And hopefully we'll see some more interesting things that happen with the Stanley Cup as it gets passed around the Florida Panthers organization for the next couple of months, because that's always really exciting to get to see. But gosh,
if enough good things happen, we'll do another podium for sure. Maybe have to update the rankings. Someone do something better than throwing it into the Atlantic Ocean, please.
Step right up and see the wonders of the traveling motor circus.
This has been the longest F1 silly season I think we have ever lived through, because it got kicked off with Lewis Hamilton early on. But whew, we had the two most uneventful announcements this week, with Gasly and Stroll being confirmed. I don't know why they felt the need to confirm Stroll, but
just in case. I mean, they did.
Just in case.
For the 3% of people that believed anytime it said Lawrence Stroll may be selling stocks or Lawrence Stroll in talks, no. If anyone that believed clickbaity headlines, that definitely were never really going to happen. That was like, wow, thanks for telling me something that I definitely already knew. Pierre, sure, not a surprise either. Really, it all just makes it interesting of which seats continue to remain available.
Yeah. I think there's two people in the market right now, and they both are interesting for different reasons. And I'm going to start not where you think I'm going to start, Nicole, which is I want to talk about Esteban Ocon.
I did think we were going to start there, because the rest gets super jumpy, but we have to get to Esteban Ocon first.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that he made the announcement that he's leaving Alpine with clear words that he already had a seat somewhere else, which Esteban Ocon has been screwed around with in the past. I don't think he would have said that without having a contract signed. So I think before we talk about everyone else, we need to figure out, where do you think he's going?
I'm in the split, and when I say Mercedes camp, I mean the Williams or Mercedes. It's not. That's where my brain's at of seeing Esteban go. I think we have that connection previously with Mercedes in a way, and Toto, and just seems like the natural place for him to fall. Of hey, get me out of Alpine. Hey, this could, work and maybe something. I
wonder if that's why we haven't heard. I'm gonna take your theory a step further and say, I wonder if they made it pretty clear that they want Antonelli in F1 next season. So I wonder if Esteban has signed a deal that's like, we're figuring out if we want Antonelli in the big team or in Williams, and you're going to be in the opposite one.
Right. And
my brain wasn't there at all.
Oh, really?
So
Because I think it's like
Yeah.
Williams needs to figure out their best way of like, you know, whatever with Logan, and they seem to be really like hand-holding.
Oh, yeah,
there
Logan's
and-
out.
Right.
My brain is
Okay,
like,
but here's the
Logan's
thing. We also said that almost a year ago, and then at like the end of the season, we just still didn't have an answer, and then it was like, sing song, please join us.
Well,
like
that just shows me
and
he was
also-
supposed to be out. Just something happened in the driver market that Williams didn't get any other driver they wanted, and they were like, shrug, I guess we'll run you again.
So in the worlds of also like Checo is staying at Red Bull, like so many things that I did not believe were going to be happening in 2025 seem like they could still be happening. So Williams is going to hold off on making a public announcement about Logan for as long as possible. So they can't announce Esty Bestie there. And also I think you're so spot on of Mercedes. It's like, Kimi, please, Kimi. It's like the Mets with Grimace. It's going to be Kimi Antonelli. That is like Mercedes right now. And
Yeah, I
until
think they're
that
just trying
is
to
tied up,
figure out-
exactly, figuring that out of where,
Yeah.
and then so that's where I'm at. So now I'm intrigued of what's your
I think
take?
they're
Where
trying to
do you
figure
see it
out
going?
if Kimi can step up to the big team.
Mhm.
Or if they want to start him in Williams. Like, I definitely think that's the holdup. And Toto's been pretty clear that that's the holdup. It's like, do we want to put Kimi? Is Kimi ready? I've been reading and hearing tons of rumors about Esteban to Haas. So I just kind of thought that was what. But I always forget about the Toto Mercedes connection.
Mhm.
And my rationale for why it hasn't been announced is just because Haas is just slow.
They're just figuring it out. Haas is
Yeah.
just like, we don't have to rush. We're gonna just let everyone else do their thing and then be like, here we go.
The reason I think the Esteban is where we have to start and what's interesting about it is because as this market squeezes, it becomes more and more stressful that Carlos isn't going to get a seat. Or not that he isn't going to get a seat, but like, is Carlos just going to end up as the second Haas driver because he's not making a decision? Like, it now feels like people, meaning people in charge, are publicly annoyed that Carlos isn't making a decision. We've heard that he's had offers from Audi, from Williams. It just is like, is he going to end up in a Haas just because he's not making a decision? Like, what is he waiting for?
Yeah, I don't know. I am very shocked that it's been this long. To me, that screams, I think, like, that's a no-go Mercedes, so it's going to be somewhere else. And it seems like it was the most obvious Carlos to Audi. Like, why that wasn't
We've been
just
talking about this for a
immediately-
year.
Yeah, we've been talking about this before Lewis. Like, it was just, that was the goal, that was the thing, that's what made sense, and it tracked. So I still concede
No,
that.
I understand why he doesn't want to drive around in a Sauber for a year until Audi
Especially given this season. Yeah, it's like the worst thing ever.
And I don't think he's now no longer making the decision when his stock is the highest. So I feel like a lot of leverage he had early on in the season when he won the race and he was performing super well. It's not that he's not performing well anymore, but his stock is no longer shiny and I don't know.
Spicy.
Do you think he's just being batted around by Red Bull right now?
I hope not. That's just.
Like, do you think he's the like side chick to
Like,
Red Bull?
Don't
Because
do it. Don't
every
do
time,
it. Look away. Don't
yeah,
go back to
every
your
time
ex.
the angrier and more adamant Horner is in press conferences, the more I think there's smoke to that fire. So like angry Horner talking about there's no way Max is leaving Red Bull makes me feel like it's more of a realistic possibility. Like whether or not it ends up happening. It just
God,
like
but then that adds a different layer of like, then where does Max go? And then like,
well, I think at this point, if he's leaving, he's going to Mercedes.
right. Oh my gosh.
And I'm not even saying that that's a good idea for Max. Like, who knows? Like, I'm not advocating for anything. All I know is that the more Horner is yelling, the more truth there is to something.
I know, and that just still goes to the whole whatever administrative behind the scenes that we'll still just only get in like gossipy tea spills and DTS behind the scenes and Helmut Marko quotes. But so who knows how much ever we'll fully understand that. But it's
at this point, I feel like we have mocked Carlos. Not we, like the collective F1 community has heard rumors about Carlos to the Mercedes that Toto has pretty much shut down. So he's not
Like,
going to Mercedes.
nope.
It seems like. But we've heard rumors about Audi. We've heard rumors about Red Bull. We've heard rumors about Alpine at this point. That I feel like, but this is why I keep saying, like, he's going to end up without a seat in Haas because everyone's going to have to start making decisions. Like, come on, make a decision, Carlos.
Please, just let us know.
There are more open seats than they're not good open seats, but there are more open seats when I look at the graphics that we have on the screen on YouTube than
it feels like.
Right. Like, it feels like the whole thing is squeezing, but I think it's because there's not a lot of good seats.
Right. Like, it's like you can't, I mean, my brain isn't imagining the, Esty Bestie at a Haas or at a Sauber. So, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to Red Bull. So it was like that and the relation to Toto. So, but Carlos Sainz really puts that interesting, like, going down, I guess. Down sounds aggressive, but like you're not in the top team and it's not Mercedes. No. So it's the really interesting thing to be looking at, that squeeze.
If I was advising him in his camp right now, not knowing any information about what's being offered to him, like with what is left on the table for him, like I would take the swing at Audi. Because at least there's a chance, because it's a works team, because he's not getting the Mercedes seat. That's been pretty clear. Why would you want to go to what's going on at Alpine? It's never been good.
Just go for 2025, focus on 2026. Like, just know that next year's not going to be fun.
Time is running out. It's the final buzzer.
Bryce Harper is the highest vote getter for the NL All-Star team. 6 Phillies have moved on to the second stage of the voting because they were in first or second place. Bohm, JT Schwarber, Trey, Marsh, and Casty. Go Phils.
Islanders legend Butch Goring was invited by 5th grader Eliana Leonardo to attend the presentation on her school project about his life, and he went, and she did get an A.
The Flyers have officially bought out Cam Atkinson's contract. Not shocking, but glad to see it did happen to free up a roster spot for some of the guys.
This week, Lewis Hamilton has confirmed that he will be going to Paris for the Olympics, specifically to cheer on his best buddy, Miles Chamley-Watson, in fencing.
NFL training camps start up this month. Specifically, the Eagles start July 23rd. Are you ready for the return of football season, Nicole?
Yes, please, yes. I mean, maybe. I may start to emotionally be not ready, but right now I'm feeling the need for football. The TikTok viral Savannah Bananas are getting strange looks from fans after the team sent out an email offering fans a special deal to return tickets to their game in Buffalo. There may be too many people going. I don't know. This one was a little bit of a marketing miss.
A marketing win this week was Bryce Harper's Wawa merch. It is unbelievably perfect. Some of the items are things like cleats, but I need all of the normal person wearable items so badly. They're going to take all my money. Need it.
And potentially the worst world record attempt ever. This upcoming week, the Marlins are trying to break the Guinness World Record for the longest time a crowd does the wave. They are asking their fans to stay after the game on July 3rd to break the current record that was done in Japan in 2015 of 17 minutes and 14 seconds. My question remains, but why?
I think the answer to the question is baseball in July for a losing team.
Thank you for listening to another sports show. Thank you to our co-creators, Nicole Katz and Briana Klein. Thank you to the four-legged executive producers and me, VoiceOver Man. Make us one of your stars of the game by subscribing, liking the video, and turning on auto downloads. Make our day by leaving us a review on your podcast platform of choice and a comment on YouTube. Attend the postgame on social media for exclusive daily content. We'll be back to review the playbook every week. See you next Tuesday.
Today was another sports show, but it wasn't calm.